And that's Shirona Patel. Shirona, thank you so much for your time this morning. Now, could you please update us on the latest between Wits management and the student protests? You know, it's been widely circulated on social media, on our news, that there's been unrest in the institution.
Yes, so we've had student protests for about 3 days now. It originally started out as a protest march against the fee increases. It's been going for 3 days. It's been taken a toll on the institution, on our staff and our students. We've lost 2 teaching days already. However, we are pleased to say that at least overnight, agreement was reached on a way forward. So we had about 9 members of our executive committee of council, and they met with the students, they engaged and negotiated with them, and at least we have a way forward now. We still haven't resolved the issue of the fee increases for 2016, but we have a framework in which we will make that happen.
And what are the contents of the agreement that you reached overnight?
Okay, so there are basically 3 or 4 points. The first is that the 10.5% average, which was proposed for 2016, falls away. What they'll do now is have a council meeting tomorrow, and at the council meeting they will start negotiations on the fee increases and other increases for 2016 afresh. The students are part of council, and once council comes to some sort of a decision, that will then be communicated to students on Monday at 12 o'clock in Senate House.
Okay, so just explain to us a bit, Shirona, for someone that doesn't understand how the fee increment works at Wits University, why has it sort of increased at the rate that it has over the years?
Okay, so student fee increases are important for Wits because that's one way in which we can balance our budget. So if you look at how universities get their income, it's from 3 streams. It's from government subsidy, it's from student fees, and it's from third stream income. Now, in real terms, government subsidy is declining year on year, and that's one of the greatest problems we're facing at the moment. In terms of third stream income, that's dedicated to research projects, and that's basically contract research. So, for example, people will give us money, and we need to use that money to create a vaccine or to use it for a specific project. So we can't really use that to pay the lights. So that leaves student fees. Now, our expenses have been going up significantly. The price of electricity has trebled. We've got water, etc., to pay for. So there's an increase of between 13% and 18% in utilities. In terms of the rand-dollar exchange rate, we know the rand has been devalued by about 22%. Inflation is way above 6%. So if government's only giving us an increase in subsidy of, say, between 4% and 5% for next year, we have to make up the shortfall somewhere. Having said that, and following these 3 days, we are now also cognizant of the pressure on families and on students themselves. I mean, it is a steep hike, as in 10.5%, and I think management has now, we've listened to the students, we've listened to their grievances, and we need to look at an alternative way forward. We are not a profit-making organisation. We're a university. We have a break-even budget, so we don't make a profit, but we do have to, pay our expenses. However, our Vice-Chancellor has made a creative suggestion recently, and he's saying, well, let's go to government. Let's say, government, you're paying 12.5 billion, I think, dedicated to NSFAS for next year, for 2016. Why not take that to 20 billion rand? That's an extra 8 billion rand out of the national budget. But that will cover the tuition fees of all students in the system for next year. And if we can do that, we do away with, that's basically free tertiary education for all students who are talented enough to make it into university. And that takes the pressure off students, off families, off universities. It gets rid of all our finance student strikes.
But that proposal is not finalised. It was still an idea by the Vice-Chancellor.
Yes, well, he has put it forward in several platforms. In fact, that's what he was meant to present, one of the proposals he was meant to put on the table at the Higher Education Transformation Summit, which took place this week. Unfortunately, he had to fly back to Wits because of the student protest that we were having. But that's one idea. The other idea is to work with the banks in a creative way. To say, well, students can't afford these hefty student loans and paying back all these interest rates. Let's find a creative solution so that students at least don't have the worry of paying back their loans immediately and with huge interest rates to banks. Let's find a solution that works for both the Higher Education and Training Department, for the banks, for NSFAS, and for students. And that's the proposal he was meant to put on the table. It is part of a proposal that he's putting to the National Task Team, which the presidency has put together, and they need to report back to the president on this issue by the end of November.
Now, talking about the protests again, going back, you already mentioned that you missed 2 days of, lectures. Is it confirmed as yet that Monday will also be closed for lectures?
Yes. We have agreed that with the students, and we've agreed that in the interest of the safety and security of staff and students, until this matter is resolved, and we're hopeful that Monday will be the last day that lectures are missed. So all academic activities will be shut down on Monday as well. Right. However, our staff have been instructed to make up those lessons that have been missed. Exams are just around the corner, so it means it's going to take extra effort from both academics, students, management, everybody to come to the party to make sure that our students are prepared for the exams.
Now, Shirona, should this problem or issue in the institution not be resolved, can we anticipate another protest from students should they not be satisfied with the outcome after Monday?
Well, I think we've made up quite significant ground in the last few days. We've listened to students. We are taking their position to council tomorrow. So we're hoping that we'll get some sort of an agreement, hopefully by tomorrow and at the latest by Monday. We really can't afford it. Both students, it's not in the students' interest, not in our interest to prolong it any further.
And we've also seen visuals, on our screens right now, that during the engagement with Vice Chancellor Adam Habib and the Executive Council of, the students' SRCs and the students, that was how, I suppose, negotiations took place overnight last night. Yes. Is that how new negotiations will commence moving forward? Will there be consultation with the students, or will it just be a closed-door, conversation between management and the SRC?
No, council takes the decision tomorrow. It will be behind closed doors. It will be a council meeting. So the Higher Education Statute says that council is the highest decision-making body of the university. However, the Ex-Gov Council has committed to taking forward the students' position at the council meeting tomorrow to the fuller council body. They've also agreed that they will take whatever outcomes are there back to a student assembly on Monday at noon. Right. The last thing is that there won't be disciplinary action taken against any of the students or the workers who were involved in the strike. That was one of the conditions put down as well.
Okay. Now, we've seen also on our screens, as we're having this conversation, that campus control was called in to preside order within, Senate House during, of course, the protest. Yeah. Has there been any injuries? Has there been any disorder as far as violent protests are concerned?
No, we are very grateful to our students as well. We have had fairly peaceful protests over the last 3 days. We have had some altercations, minor altercations between students. We have had some classrooms vandalized in terms of graffiti being sprayed on them. But all in all, it's been, for the numbers we've had, it's been a very, very peaceful march. We've tried not to bring on security. The police have been on the perimeters of the institution, but we asked them to stand down several times. Yeah. So we've had parents, for example, calling the police saying, my child is trapped inside, we can't get her out. But as an institution, we felt that bringing the police onto campus would just heighten the tensions, and that's not something that we can afford. So if we look at what's happened at the other universities around the country, UKZN, for example, recently they've had the violence, they've had injuries. We really didn't want to take that chance. Right. And I think that it's paid off in the end. We've had the protests, we've had management negotiating under difficult circumstances, but nobody's been hurt. And I think, that's something that we should commend both students and management for.
Shirona Patel, Wits University spokesperson, thank you so much for your time this morning. All right, well, that was the Wits spokesperson, Shirona Patel, updating us on the latest as far as negotiations are concerned at Wits University, of course, regarding the fee increment or not, between the Vice-Chancellor, the SRCs and the student in the institution. Well, let's take a short break. We'll be right back after this.